Happy New Year, everybody. I hope every single one of you enjoyed your time away during this incredible holiday break. I know I did. I spent it with family, with friends, with people who I cared about, and we had lots of fun, getting together and just having a blast. And I hope you all had the same too. I hope every single one of you enjoyed your time during this holiday break, because here we are, 2026, an incredible year that is going to be for both film and TV, and I cannot wait to share those moments and those thoughts that I will have for future movies and TV shows that I want to share with you. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. It is no secret that I have come on this channel several times before and told everybody that Avatar is by far my favorite series, or I should say series of movies that I have seen. From everything that it has brought forward, awareness to, incredible moments with the family and unification, whether it's the theme of protecting the world and making sure that Earth is protected and not, squandered. All those themes are ultimately at the core of what Avatar has always been about. And I feel like it is no different when we are talking about the latest installment in the Avatar franchise, and that being Avatar: Fire and Ash. Now, I just got back from seeing it in theaters. I was lucky enough to go see this movie in Dolby 3D, which honestly is an experience that can only be described as absolute premium. If you have an opportunity, go see this movie in theaters in 3D, and the quality of the film is absolutely skyrocketing when we are talking about Dolby 3D. So please go out to your local theater, watch it there. I will be discussing spoilers in this video, so please go see this movie on the biggest screen you can. If you got family, friends, people who you care about, like I said before, please go and take them to go see this movie. It is definitely worth it. But before I can get into it, I just wanted to let you know about the spoilers. If you've already watched it, keep watching, because I have some interesting thoughts. But if you haven't, please click away, go watch another video, and then once you've watched the movie, come back and we'll discuss. But nonetheless, let's continue. Now, Avatar: Fire and Ash comes at a pretty opportune time, because ultimately this is a film that has been about 3 years since the last one. The last time we watched Avatar, it was The Way of Water. It was a great film. The Way of Water was a great film, and it did leave some open-endedness in that movie. We remember it being that movie that ended on a sort of open-ended note, almost open to new possibilities, to new moments. And luckily for me, I recently rewatched the movie. I sat down, rewatched from beginning to end The Way of Water, and for me, I realized that this film, The Way of Water, was a great film. But when I actually stepped into to watch Fire and Ash, I started to realize that there were some deficiencies in The Way of Water that I would have liked in that movie, in which Fire and Ash was able to achieve for me. But there are a lot of parallels between Fire and Ash and the very first Avatar movie. As a matter of fact, Fire and Ash, I would go as far to say that it is a really good blend of the first and second movie. It has the heartfelt moments that you come to expect from the second movie, but it really delivers on the action in this movie. This movie is a whole lot more action-packed than the first movie, and it has less slower moments in this movie, because I feel like the pacing is much better in this movie. I feel like there's not a single moment in this movie where I'm like, okay, fine, we're gonna have either some exposition or something that we're gonna have to figure out, and there's just going to be a whole lot of talking and not a lot of action. Now, I had a little bit of those problems with The Way of Water, but with Fire and Ash, the pacing is really well done. It's continuous, it's non-stop. Honestly, I am not going to lie to you. 3 hours of my life passed by and I didn't even feel it. Honestly, as I was watching this movie, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. And then suddenly, I look at my watch and 3 hours pass by as though nothing happened. And it's incredible. It's incredible how well paced Avatar Fire and Ash is. And once again, Avatar comes in with the incredible score that we come to, expect from Avatar. You watch the movie, the soundtrack really fills you with that emotion and that feeling, and it's heartfelt and strong. I truly think that the sound design of Avatar truly is impressive. Sitting in that Dolby theater, you can hear the details, the little crispness in the ear. You can almost feel like the water is with you in that moment, the moments that, they're in the river, or you can feel like they're actually part of that landscape and you feel immersed with the audio. So I truly believe that sound design for Avatar is truly top-notch. And that does not stop as well at just sound design and obviously the pacing of this movie, but the cast as well. We talk about our two leads, Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana. I think that they are absolutely amazing. They continue to set the bar for excellent acting. Again, Zoe Saldana should, in large part, be nominated an Oscar for her role as Neytiri. As a matter of fact, she has played Neytiri far longer than, say, we know her as Gamora in the MCU, but she's been playing Neytiri since 2009. So I feel like it's about time we get some semblance of an Oscar nomination for her. And that also can extend to Sam Worthington. He is a great actor. And truly, we feel a lot of the moments that Jake is going through in this movie. I feel like Jake Sully as a character feels very exhausted. As of these past two movies, The Way of Water and Fire and Ash, there's a lot of moments where I feel like Jake Sully is taking on a very heavy toll. And he's tired, he's exhausted, and I don't know how they're going to deal with that fact going forward. So I really would like for them to explore that with that character in specific. I heard rumors that they might explore, Jake Sully in an older age or in a form where he's much older. So I'm very skeptical of where they're going to take Jake Sully as a character, but as of right now, he's there to defend his family, and that's it. And I feel like he does a great job there. As a character, Jake Sully is there to defend his family, so I have no complaints about that. And that also extends to Zoe Saldana, who honestly not only performs Neytiri beautifully well, but Neytiri as a character is amazing in this movie as well, extending the grief that she actually experiences in The Way of Water into this film. Very much so, and you can see that from the very beginning of the movie. They even have a little callback to the other movie as well, but it really does show how strong of an actress she is. And Neytiri in this movie is absolutely badass, as she has been, forever. So I'm really excited to see where they take both Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana in the next movie, which I believe they've already shot. So I'm really excited about that. Now, obviously, in this movie, we have Sigourney Weaver back once again as Kiri. I think Kiri as a character is absolutely beautiful. Her essence is beautiful. She's very curious about the world, and ultimately we get a much better answer to who she is and where she comes from. In a way, I hate to get all biblical in this story, but her story very much kind of feels almost Jesus-like. So they even bring it up, like she has no father, and ultimately she was essentially a gift of Awa to the world, and she's an identical version of Grace. So I think that's a really interesting story that they're definitely going to dig into in the next film, and I really hope to see more of her, even in adult form. I expect them to do a nice little time jump. Maybe another 5 years would be very nice. I wouldn't necessarily need or want a direct sequel to this movie. I'd prefer a little time jump. Maybe 5 years, 6 years in terms of a time jump would be very nice to experience with Kiri and see how she evolves from being this sort of like gift of Awa. So I really would love to see where they go from here. Now, a surprising standout in this movie, which I hate to equate him to a different character, but I think Jake Champion did great in this movie. As Spider. I think Spider as a character in the first movie, in the Way of Water, I didn't really like him in the Way of Water. I feel like he didn't really know where to stand, and he was kind of flip-floppy. It was weird what they did with that character with Spider. But I feel like Spider in this movie is a lot more grounded in a way. He's a lot more, focused. He's not a character that I'm like, okay, they didn't really write him very well. But in this one, he's very well written, and I'm very happy that they actually did that. He is more of the comedy, comic relief in this movie. There are moments where he is a bit silly and funny. Not really jokes that landed with me personally, but I think he was pretty good. He was really good in this movie, better than The Way of Water, definitely. And we get to see him become sort of like a human Na'vi, which is kind of wild. I would be surprised if he even ever so as much would maybe turn Na'vi in this upcoming movie. I would be very surprised, and I'd be very excited to see how he evolves as a character in Avatar 4. But as for Fire and Ash, he did really good. Now back once again from The Way of Water, we have obviously Kate Winslet and Cliff Curtis playing as Ronal and Tonawari. Both characters are great. We don't get a whole lot of them in this movie. I understand that The Way of Water, we focused a little bit more on them than in this movie, but I loved seeing them in this movie and truly entrusting, this sort of story where they kind of have to follow along with, Jake Sully and him kind of regaining his status as Torak Makto. I really love that. I really love seeing both of them on this film, even though they're there for a smaller portion of the movie. I love seeing them in here. Now, I also loved seeing the Sully kids here. We have Trinity Bliss as Took. We have Britton Dalton playing Loak. We have Bailey Bass playing Sere. I really do love seeing how well these kids, because they are kids, but, well, not now because this movie was shot several years ago, but when they were kids doing these characters, I think they did great. They did absolutely great. To kind of sort of adapt as a child to, motion capture and understanding how it works. I mean, as a kid, you can use your imagination a little bit better, but I think they did a great job here. Again, standout performances, honestly, just absolutely impressive. Now, someone who was a massive surprise to me in this movie that popped up was Giovanni Ribisi. I did not expect him to come back to Pandora. I mean, he was sort of shunned from Pandora, but now that they have this giant base, he just kind of popped right back. So I'm interested in how this is going to play out. Towards the end of the movie, we kind of see him questioning if he's on the right side, which is surprising because on the very first movie, he didn't care. He just pushed through whatever, right? In this movie, he's kind of questioning it. He's kind of thinking about it like, so I sent the military here and they're gonna just destroy everything just to pillage? Yeah, he started to question himself. And that's a really interesting concept there, that this terrible person is starting to question his own motives and the motives of the people that brought him there. So definitely would like to see him in the next movie, and I'm very much questioning how they're going to handle his character's return in the next movie. Now, I left these two as the last two that really stood out to me because they are essentially the standout performances of this movie. You know, obviously, I talked about everybody: Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver. You know, all these people who are fantastic, Oscar-level caliber, incredible actors. But the two major standouts of this movie are obviously Stephen Lang and Ona Chaplin. Two actors who absolutely dominated this movie in a way that is hard to even express. You know, I watched this movie thinking, okay, are they going to bring Quaritch back? Are they going to give him more depth? They did. In this movie, they gave him a little bit more depth than before. You know, sort of expanding on what we learned about him in Way of Water, they expanded it this way in this movie, and I love that. I love that they expanded a little bit more of his mindset, how he wants to really get in the head of, you know, his enemies and sort of like try to like break them in a way. And honestly, I am not surprised, you know, the way it ended for him in this movie, because ultimately we know he's coming back. I mean, he didn't die in this movie, and typically when a character dies in a movie, they kind of really make it clear, like, hey, this person ain't coming back, okay? Like, obviously you have that idiot guy who gets swallowed essentially by that whale, but truly, I feel like they handled Quaritch in this movie really well, surprisingly well, and truly, his arc is definitely getting to the point where it's absolutely fascinating to see him sort of like struggle with the fact that he is part human in his memories, but ultimately he's been given this new body, and now he has to learn of ways to kind of fight against certain urges that he has. So Jake has been kind of getting in his head and trying to get him to be like, hey, listen, you gotta like clean up your act, because ultimately he wants Quaritch to realize that he's been given a new lease on life, and that he should follow through with that. So I hope they really dive deeply into his character in the next film, which is going to be really fun to see. Now, Ona Chaplin is a true revelation in this movie. We don't get a whole lot of Varong, but I really hope we get more of her in the next movie. And I hope we do get a lot of her in the next movie, because she doesn't die in this one, the same way as I know for a fact Quaritch didn't die in this one. But I really loved seeing the chemistry built on Quaritch and Varong's, you know, that chemistry that they have. You know, somebody who is very war-torn, you know, very gruff like Quaritch, falling through with somebody whose spirit is completely, essentially left her own body, and is now like not even caring anymore about Awa or the spirits. You know, it's completely dead. So I mean, like, to see that darkness in Varang, and see how completely broken she is very cool. And I really, really, really think that diving into that darkness in this movie was very strong and very interesting. And Ona Chaplin plays this role very well. And honestly, I don't know why, but they made Varong really attractive as a character, which is kind of interesting, because your feelings kind of mix up in your head because you're like, oh, she's very attractive, but she's absolutely evil. So yeah, kind of attracted to the enemy chick in this one. But yeah, she does absolutely amazing, and I would love to dive a little bit deeper into her character as well in the next film. Now, there are a lot of things that I liked about this movie. Like I've said before, you know, obviously cinematography is a given. You're stepping into an actual Avatar film where 99% of the things you're seeing on screen are practically done all digitally. All digitally, with the exception of the human characters. Pretty much everything that you are watching is digital. And, you know, as we were sitting there watching it, I was just like absolutely mesmerized. And after finishing the movie, I asked my dad, like, what do you think? He was like, there are times during this movie where you absolutely forget that you're watching an Avatar movie. That you are looking at things that don't necessarily exist. So you're just watching and you're like, wow, like this is very realistic. So honestly, they just absolutely stepped up their game in every sense of the word in terms of the realism of these stories. And the cinematography just absolutely will blow anybody away. And I mean, I'm not surprised that it looks this beautiful because it's James Cameron. You know that he is going to put every ounce of his soul into the overall essence of this movie. So definitely, visually speaking, this movie is incredible. But this movie is not without some faults, and I will get into that later. Now, one of the things that honestly was not a problem for me, but will be a problem for some people, not for me though. I loved the overall essence of this movie, but the length of this movie, for some people, not for me, I'm okay with the length. I think 3 hours and 15 minutes, 3 hours and 20 minutes is a great length for an Avatar movie, specifically because we wait 3 years for an Avatar movie. So I think that I can spare 3 hours and 15 to 20 minutes of my, movie-going experience to see a movie. So I waited 3 years. I'm okay with 3 hours. So that's not a big deal. But for a lot of people, I feel like length is going to be a question. My dad was one of those people who said it to me as soon as the movie ended. He was like, listen, I probably don't have the stamina for that length of a film. But honestly, he was like, listen, if this movie was an hour shorter, I might have liked this movie. So length is definitely at question here, even though I hope they do not change the length of Avatar, and I hope that they stick with the 3 hour plus trope that they have going on. Another thing as well that most people are going to notice, if you are a fan, me, as a person who is a fan of Avatar, I've loved Avatar since the first movie. Something that you are going to notice if you are watching this movie is that a lot of the story beats that we see from either the first or second movie is repeated here. That's why at the beginning of this video I told you that this is a movie that is a mix between the first and second movie. And that's not just in terms of its story, but it's also the story beats as well. So you already know that there's going to be a big battle in the movie. As a matter of fact, there are several moments in this movie that have battles, which I absolutely loved, but are things that you are already going to expect from a movie that is of Avatar. It's just that sometimes it can feel repetitive. And there are shots in this movie where I was like, this kind of already looks like the first movie in this instance. Oh, wait a second, they've already talked about something similar in the first movie. Oh, they've already shot a scene that looks just like this in the first or second movie. So like, there's a lot of repetition here from the first and second movie that you are gonna notice. It doesn't take away from the experience as a whole for me, but I definitely noticed it, which to me shows that there needs to be something bold. As soon as I was walking away from this movie and the credits were rolling, I thought to myself, James Cameron needs to be bold for the next movie. There needs to be something big, like a really big shift in the story that doesn't involve the humans coming back, fighting, once again, the Na'vi, and then the Na'vi winning and then going, about their way. That fight is always going to happen. The first movie had that fight. The second movie had a scaled down version of that fight. I feel like, comparing Way of Water to this movie, I feel like Way of Water was a little bit more, in terms of scale, much smaller. Was a much smaller scaled Avatar movie, as Fire and Ash is this gigantic kind of incredible fireball, no pun intended. It's very different in that sense, but a lot of the similarities are here of those movies and how the story beats hit pretty much on point with what you expect from an Avatar movie. Now, this is going to be a complaint by a lot of people, and that's the fact that this movie also ends in sort of an open-ended way, similar to how The Way of Water ended, which, trust me, as much as of a finality or an ending to the first and second movie, the second movie tended to end with sort of like okay, we're going somewhere else now. We're experiencing something else now. I really hope that they truly have some semblance of where the story is going to go from this point on. Now, I really do think that if they're willing to leave it open-ended, it's because they have something better coming for this story. But I really do think a lot of people might complain about that, saying like, oh, it's open-ended. we see some sort of finality to it. A lot of people said, oh, this could be the final Avatar movie, but I wouldn't say so. I still think that the next two Avatar movies are gonna play a little bit more into that sort of finality. A lot of things happen in this movie, and a lot of things continue to be open-ended. They answer questions from the second movie and this movie, sort of like where Kiri is from, which I think was very nice of them. When it comes to telling people what someone's lineage is, Star Wars took 3 movies. This one took 2, which I'm very grateful for. So I like that. I like that they have those moments of, either a small flashback or explaining to us, hey, listen, this is what happened. But when you leave it open-ended, that's the problem. Now you have more questions for the next movie. So what questions am I talking about in terms of this movie to the next movie? We need to know about Spider, and we need to know where the heck Spider's going. Is he going to transform into an avatar? Is he going to continue to be in his human form, but ultimately live out his life as human, but on Pandora? Are they going to study him? Ultimately, where are they going to play out these stories? Where are they going to take that, element of Avatar and put it into the next movie? Are they going to bring more humans and then they are going to be able to breathe because they're going to reverse engineer it? A lot of those questions are brought up in this movie, Also, Kiri as a character, seeing her, speak to Awa and understanding that she is kind of like the gift through grace, her birth through grace, being sort of like a part of Awa and being able to communicate with the world. How far can she take that? I definitely want to see more of that on screen. And definitely, we need to talk about Varang and obviously Quaritch. Not only that relationship, if it's still going to be going on, but also how far it's going to go into the future. Is there going to be a moment where Varang is going to, cut ties with Quaritch? Is Quaritch going to be at a moment in time where, there's this fight between, obviously, we're going to have to see a fight between, Neytiri and Varang at some point. They are going to fight each other. We know that's going to happen. That is not even a thing. But they leave it sort of open-ended for you to be like, oh, we're going to have the big fight in the next movie. So I'm hoping that they return to that. I'm hoping that they actually explain to us how that relationship is going to continue, because truly, I am very, very much interested in, is Varang ultimately gonna, accept Awa? Is she gonna retreat? Is she gonna fight Horrich in the next story? I would like to see that. I would like to know a little bit more about Varang and her experience, and going a little bit deeper into that character, and ultimately probably even showing that she is not as bad as we think she is. Because I feel like a lot of the loss that she experienced, she channels through the fact that she just is angry at pretty much everything that comes into contact with her. So there's that. So there are a lot of questions going into the next movie that I would love to experience and truly capture, because ultimately I am a huge fan of Avatar and I want to see this succeed. And now, judging solely based on how successful this movie has been so far, as of right now, this movie stands at 1.08 billion. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still that. It might be different by the time I put up the graphic, but trust me, when I recorded this, it really was $1.08 billion. And by the looks of it, this movie could be hitting $2 billion very soon. So that is a very clear indication that we will get a fourth and fifth. I almost said a third and fourth. A fourth and fifth Avatar movie, which I will happily be sitting in a chair in the movie theater to see, because I absolutely love these movies. And if you are like me and you love Avatar as well, please go down in the comments and tell me how much you love Avatar. I know Avatar is not for everybody, but I feel like everybody loves Avatar deep down in some way, shape, or form. My mom absolutely loves Avatar and everything this movie stands for, so it's really cool to see her happy to see this movie and actually enjoy it, which to me made me enjoy it even more. So I think it was really fun to experience this movie, and I hope that the fourth movie really blows everything out of the water, because if Fire and Ash was this good, Avatar 4 is going to be really good. And that will be it for me in this video. And like I said before, please go ahead and put down in the comments below what you think. What did you like most about Avatar Fire and Ash? Is Avatar Fire and Ash your style of movie? Did you like the pacing? Did you like the music? Did you like the visuals? I want to hear everything you have to say down below in the comments. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video and enjoying every second of this video. I hope every one of you had a great New Year's. And guess what? 2026 is here, and that is going to be a year for movies and TV shows that I can't wait to see.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.